in Waco.
Welcome back to Sic'Em 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Back here this 4 o'clock hour, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, David Smoke. Also, Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. We have full throttle at Baylor practice today. Colt Barber, Grayson Grundhafer, Brian Etheridge, and Jack McKenzie are there. And, of course, they work out throughout the afternoon media session a little bit after 6. We're now joined by Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, Sic'Em 365 Radio with his weekly segment. We always appreciate the time. Mack, when Jerome Tang took the job at Kansas State, one of the things I thought about, one, thrilled for him. The opportunity's there, it's been there, but this one here was how in the world can you keep that staff together, because sometimes the staff can get raided. Your thoughts about what Scott Drew has done officially today with Jared Nunez and Alvin Brooks and John Jacobs, and also adding Tweety Carter to the future staff as well?
Well, good afternoon to everybody. Happy Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. It's a great day for Baylor, and happy for Scott and excited about, keeping the staff together, and then, adding a family member, a former player, and Tweety Carter to the staff. But I'll start with both Alvin and John, and obviously they have been such an integral part of our success. Particularly I believe the past 5 years, and they've had their fingerprints, their handprints all over it. And I just I think it was great of Scott to promote them and give them and put them in the position, both of them as associate head coaches. And, quite frankly, those two, had schools come after them, and we were able to hang on to them. And I think, it starts with Scott, and he creates a great working environment, and people want to work for him, work with him. And, it comes down to truly that culture of joy. So, thrilled for both of them, for Alvin and Tiffany and John and Sarah. And then, I feel like Jared Nunez, what position hasn't he been on our staff? And, I've been blessed, as you all know, to be really close to the program, and the way he connects with our players is special. And, I think obviously losing Jerome, those are big shoes to fill. But I think Jared's going to come in and we won't skip a beat. Our players' familiarity with him, the staff's familiarity, and he's ready. He's prepared to take on that role, and I think he's going to be great, in recruiting, but also on the floor. And then finally. Tweety Carter. Who doesn't like Tweety Carter? And I mean that. I've gotten a couple texts from people on this campus in the academic area, and have just texted about how proud they are and how happy that he's returning after a 12-year career in professional basketball. And I know Scott, when all of the dominoes fell, there was not any one other person that he wanted in that player development spot other than Tweety. And so just excited for him and Brittany and their 4 children. And so I think Baylor basketball is in great hands and in a great place moving forward.
Yeah, Mac, there are spies that have been to less places than Tweety Carter has. So I'm sure he's thrilled to get back home, because I think he told us he was been through 4 passports of stamps in his basketball career. How much easier is it for you as an athletic director when you have a coach like Jerome Tang, who's very deserving and very ready to be a head coach, that leaves, and you have a staff that has to replace him, that the head coach can just go, okay, everybody kind of step this direction, this is what we're going to do, and move on, and you don't have this very exhaustive, long interview processes.
Yeah, it certainly, helps in terms of uncertainty and transition with your current roster, with prospective recruits. I think it takes away stress from the entire staff in terms of the unknown. And again, I've got such great faith and trust in Scott, and he takes it very, very serious in terms of who we're going to bring into the family and making sure it's a culture of joy fit, and it's a fit with Baylor University and Baylor athletics. And the fact that you had somebody just of such high quality like Tweety Carter out there that knows our program. And I think what's so special about that, he can really speak to our young men about the value of Baylor University, about the value of academics, because he's been here, he's lived it, and he's played for Scott. And so again, as far as an athletic director, Scott and the way he handled all of this certainly makes my job a lot easier.
Mack, last week Dave Aranda was talking about his quarterback competition. And he mentioned both Blake Shapen and also Gary Bohannon going through these leadership courses. And one of our interns who's on the volleyball team, she was telling us about like the opportunity that athletes can have to undergo these leadership courses. Do you have any insight on that? Could you tell us more about that and its involvement with Baylor athletics? Yeah,
so I think, we've talked about our 4 pillars, and one of them is character formation. And we have 5 areas within our character formation programming. And we call that programming Baylor Built, and or Baylor Built Plus now, because we've added a bunch of elements in terms of name, image, and likeness. But that is one of the 5 areas of focus is leadership. And so we do leadership training with our student athletes, and Corey Pinkett and that group does such an unbelievable job of leading our student athletes, through that in challenging them and teaching them. And so it's been a really successful program for us. And again, it's just one of the 5 areas. We focus on, social responsibility and what we would call personal skills and community engagement, and then also job and job placement, career development. And so those are those 5 areas, and the leadership piece has been really, really important for us as an athletic department. And I think our student athletes really, really do value it.
Mack, there have been stories in the last week or two, and including today, Nicole Auerbach, theathletic.com, on forecasting the revenue among the Power Fives and what the SEC, of course, they have the new deal with ESPN and no longer CBS in 2024, and forecasting. This is not breaking news, but some of the numbers could be 2 to 1 as far as per team revenue. How sustainable is that? And do you feel like it may be that much of a margin of a gap between the Big Ten, SEC, and the rest?
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting question, and I appreciate the question. And obviously I've received some text messages, and just from people, quite frankly, that are worried. And there's no doubt that the SEC and the Big Ten are very well positioned as you think about TV revenues in the future. And the Big Ten will go to market in 2023, and there's an expectation that will be a very lucrative television agreement. Part of their overall television package. right now the Big 12 is third, and I think that's going to be really, really important in terms of the future, and the Big 12 trying to remain in that third spot. Now, quite frankly, all of the forecasting doesn't take into some things that can happen. When you think about the Big 12 and its TV contract expiring in 2025, the Pac-12 in 2024. All of this is done, I think, with the assumption that there's still only going to be two primary linear partners in the field, meaning ESPN and Fox. And I think we need to be hopeful, and at least the people that I talk to believe that there will be some other players in that space. I think you're starting to see Amazon and Apple TV gain some momentum, and so what does that mean for the Big 12, and how can we potentially capitalize on that? And so again, I think we've got to be careful about the forecasting, but I think it's a really good warning sign. And if we truly get to a place where there's that gap, and it's the SEC and the Big Ten and the other three, what does that mean in terms of competitive balance? There's still only 85 scholarship spots on a football program. That doesn't mean that they're getting any more. There's still only 15 on women's basketball, 13 men's basketball. There's still a way to be competitive. Do we get into a situation where they're paying head coaches $15 million per year and we can't? That's fine. I'll say this, and I understand and realize it's a really bold statement. Baylor will still be relevant. We will find a way to be relevant, and we will find a way to compete and be relevant nationally. And hey, that may be our challenge. And how do we do that? Given we don't have the bank account that the other schools do, and I think it's well known now. What we do with our budget. I think as compared to some other institutions, it's 50% less, and we're finding a way because we've got great people to be competitive, and that's not going to change.
Mack, what are your feelings on the Senate, introducing a bill that would seek due process limits to the NCAA investigations and make it so these things don't drag out for 5 and 6 years?
Yeah, and so, Paul, I have not had an opportunity to read much about it, but I think it's interesting, and I think it's just a source of frustration. And I think when everybody gets frustrated, right, and they, so to speak, have had enough, they look for a solution. And, here's what I think we all know and understand, that the process that's in place right now needs to be, tweaked, overhauled, however you see it through your lens, but it's taking way too long. And then by the time there's any type of enforcement, is it really relevant still? You've got, student athletes now on your campus that were, freshmen in high school. In our case, they were in junior high when some of the stuff happened. And so it needs to be revamped. It needs to be looked at. I know that the transformation committee of the NCAA is going to pay special attention to that. Now, how does that intersect with any type of federal law, federal bill? I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how people to react to the introduction of this particular bill.
Mack, you mentioned NIL earlier today. The athletic department announcing the licensing agreement with the Brander Group for Baylor student athletes and name, image, likeness pursuit, where it can profit off their name and all of that stuff. More details on your end and just kind of just your idea behind, or everybody's idea behind this, and how much it's going to help in terms of NIL and Baylor student athletes.
Well, it's something that we've been working on, and again, we've been, there's been some places and spaces in the name, image, and likeness world where we have literally put our foot to the gas pedal and floored it and tried to be, really, really quick, and then there's been some areas and spaces where we've deliberately let some people take the lead and wanting to learn and see how well that's worked and what are some of the lessons learned. And I think the team branding and this particular deal is one that we let play out a little bit, and one really tried to get the very best agreement that we could, not for Baylor but for our student athletes. That was really, really important. And I think what you like about this is it gives the opportunity for it to touch and enhance all of our student athletes, and not just any one single student athlete. So we're excited about it, and we'll certainly ask our fans to be out there and ordering jerseys with our student athlete's name on it.
I know we're up against time. Men's tennis beat number 1 TCU. They, of course, ranked in the top 10, Baylor. And then how about your men's track and field program coming out, I think, rated number 2 in the country at this particular time early on as well? Yeah, no, they're, as you mentioned, they're ranked number 2. Our women are number 11. In the country as well when we think about outdoor. So excited for Coach Ford, and he's working hard. So is that staff, and just appreciate them. And again, you mentioned tennis and Coach Woodson doing a great job. That was a big time win at TCU, and so. They open Big 12 play in Austin against UT this Friday, and then come back and host TCU on Sunday. So there's some great tennis ahead in terms of men's tennis, and all of our spring sports. I'm proud of equestrian headed to the nationals, and they'll face off against Texas A&M in the quarterfinals. And so a lot of great stuff. Pro day tomorrow, football, baseball tonight, baseball this weekend, softball tonight. So just a lot happening. Thank you, Mack. Appreciate your time. Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, Tuesdays with us on many different things, including today's coaching changes, the staff promotions, and also additions to Scott Drew and his Baylor men's staff. We've now heard it. It's pretty clear. Don't ever underestimate the power or passion of Scott Drew when he wants to recruit you. And John Jacobs, Alvin Brooks have both said that, and so did Mack Rhoades. 444, Craig at Off the Radar. Next on Sic'Em 365 Radio. Stonewood Dental, Waco General and Cosmetic Dental Help, surgery, maintenance, whatever you need, family dentistry, smile makeover, sedation dentistry, dental implants, and also different relief that you have. I've mentioned the stories. I've had a top left and bottom right molar that just, man, all of a sudden I bit into something and it was like it shook me to the core, and Dr. Steve Childress took care of it for me, even during a time in which he